What's good, my Fs? And by Fs, I mean friends, my fellows, my folk, whatever, it all works. How are you this evening? I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying a cold beverage as I am. Thank you for pressing play on this B right here. I am your boy Jay. I am the Bishop of Bull Moose. And I want to talk to you a little bit about one of the topics that gets bandied about sometimes in the physical media spaces online. A lot of people will post videos proclaiming something over the top and flagrant, like physical media is dying. Physical media is not dying. I just bought a 4K of Dirty Work with a man's pasty, hairy nipples prominently placed all over the front of that case for $45. Okay, physical media is alive and kicking. So I'm kind of pleased that I've been seeing fewer and fewer videos of people talking about how physical media is dying, because I just don't think the physical media is dying argument really has much leg to stand on currently. However, one of the other arguments that people do like making is that physical media is getting more expensive. A lot of people complain about increasing prices on physical media. And I do agree that it sucks to see the Disney cartel charging $50 for a 4K steelbook, when a 4K steelbook from Disney, like an MCU steelbook, used to be $35 at Best Buy a year and a half ago. You know, rewind the clock to 2023, and I remember paying $36 for a 4K steelbook at Best Buy. And yeah, okay, I think I paid $50 for Tombstone, which is also put out by the Disney cartel. Yeah, that does suck. I mean, nobody wants to pay $15 more a year and a half later. So I get that. I mean, we're going to sustain some complaints about the prices of certain items from certain companies increasing. That is happening. But that does not mean that you can't get good deals on physical media, even limited editions. So I wanted to talk a little bit about both, impressions of that, as well as some tips that I have for saving money, because I have been buying physical media for quite some time. I probably started in the 90s, when I started working and having a little bit of money of my own, and maybe even just doing some stuff around the house. I used to do lawn work for my dad, push the lawnmower, and that used to make me a little bit of money, which I could spend on something like a Bruce Lee VHS box set. I don't remember if I got that for Christmas or I paid my own money for it, but regardless, sometime there in the early to mid 90s, I started collecting physical media on VHS at the time, because that was really the only game in town, practically speaking. I wasn't going to afford a Laserdisc player, or a Laserdisc for that matter. VHS was far more reachable at 15, 20, $25 for a VHS. But let's keep in mind that that's like 1994, $1995. Stuff is a lot more expensive today. I mean, that was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, 15 bucks may not feel like much now. That's a Big Mac meal. But $15 in 1995 was pretty much all I'd make in a week of pushing a lawnmower and doing stuff around the house. I mean, $15 was not the hourly rate that you would make in a entry-level part-time job at that point in time either. I was working at a fine grocery establishment in the metro Atlanta area by the name of Publix. My Atlanta bros will know, and my Florida bros too will know, like, what Publix is. I think I was getting $7 an hour when I started part-time work at Publix at roughly 16 years of age, and that was good back then. People were like, "Whoa, you're getting—" I got either 7 or 7.50. More money back in 1996 than it is now. I mean, $7 is kind of nothing these days. Like, go into a gas station and buy a Monster energy drink, or like a Prime energy drink. Or what is it, like $7 for that? I could get my boy Chase on here. He's got an MBA. We could discuss economics at some point in time, and that would actually be a fun conversation, especially if I've had four of these like I've had tonight. But hold on. Yeah, it's good. So when DVDs came out at the end of the 90s, I do recall adopting very early. I remember my father quite proudly bought a DVD player. It was somewhere in the late 90s there. I was still in high school, but DVD was becoming a thing, and he worked in tech, and so he was kind of with it. He had his fingers remotely near the pulse of emerging technology at that time. And that was before I even really knew too much what DVD was, but I was quickly sold on the idea of like a thin case with a disc that didn't need to be rewound, replacing the relatively fragile format of VHS. Throughout the 90s, I bought VHS like The Killer, Hong Kong cinema was my jam. I liked some anime. I like a little bit of anime still, but I remember paying 30 bucks for a VHS of anime stuff. And that was for like 60 minutes of anime TV series, 2 episodes. Physical media used to be, what I'm trying to say with all of this is the physical media used to be quite expensive. Imagine a television series consisting of roughly 100 episodes, where each VHS contains 2 episodes of that television series, roughly the equivalent of about 60 minutes of entertainment. Imagine that VHS containing 2 episodes of a 100 episode TV series also costs you $30. Do the math on that. You're going to need to buy 50 VHS in order to collect the entirety of that television series at 30 bucks a pop. That's a lot of money. That was a lot of money for one television series. I mean, imagine The Sopranos costing $1,500 to collect the whole series. Seinfeld, Friends, both of those were recently released in 4K box sets. And yeah, they were a couple $100. But what I'm trying to tell you right now in the opening minutes of this video is that physical media has previously been quite expensive. Yes, it is a little expensive now, and you can spend a car payment on physical media, but it has previously been quite expensive. I remember paying 25 and $30 for Criterion DVDs. I believe I probably paid about 30 to $32 for a single disc DVD release of The Seven Samurai, which I still own. I think that was my second or third movie that I had ever bought. And so I have retained, despite upgrading to the 4K of Seven Samurai, I did retain my copy of the original OG Criterion Collection DVD of Seven Samurai, and I believe that was about $30, maybe 32, maybe 33. That was roughly the cost of a lot of these new 4Ks. Like a new release 4K will often be 30 bucks. And Shout Factory Steelbook might be $32 on Amazon. So what I'm saying is that even with 25 plus years of inflation, we're not paying a heck of a lot more for physical media on the whole. What people see is Disney charging $50 for Tombstone, and people run with a headline like physical media is becoming incredibly expensive. It's insane now, and you can't afford it, and you're going to have to take a second mortgage out. Do you have a HELOC on your home equity line of credit? You're going to need one if you want to buy Disney Steelbooks anymore. Honestly, I think I've been chilling in the physical media space long enough that I have seen prices kind of fluctuate. Obviously, there are some simplistic approaches to determining pricing, supply, demand, etc. Demand for physical media is naturally lower than it was circa 2005, 2006, 2007, kind of the glory days of DVD, when streaming wasn't a thing yet and people were anxious to cut the cord, and DVDs were $10, $15 in some cases. People would amass large collections of DVDs, as I did during that time as well. So prices have fluctuated a bit. Fewer people are purchasing physical media, and yet there are definitely deals to be had. Some of my tips include shopping sales. If you consider the multiple retailers like Barnes and Noble, I mentioned Amazon, Target's another one. And the myriad boutique labels, there's almost always a sale going on. If there's not a sale going on at Barnes and Noble, like a 50% off Criterion for a month, then Arrow is having an Easter sale, or Vinegar Syndrome is doing halfway to Black Friday, or later in the year, they're doing Black Friday sales. So there's almost always a sale going on. Barnes and Noble, speaking of them, they do an entire month of deals on Arrow, Kino, and Criterion. They do 2 months of Criterion during the year. But that's the 2 months of Criterion, a month of Kino, and a month of Arrow alone. That's 4 months of sales at Barnes and Noble, where you can get a 4K for $25. I believe I got the 4K of the recent Arrow release of the 4K of The Addiction was on sale for $24.99, and I had a $5 reward. I'm in the little Barnes and Noble reward thing, so I stacked that, and I got a brand new copy of The Addiction for $20. That's not bad. I mean, that's pretty damned good. They did a Paramount sale as well at Barnes and Noble, so a $50 movie that's marked down to $25, it's 50% off for a month. I mean, that's a pretty solid deal. So you can pick up a lot of these Criterions, like the Seven Samurai 4K, Fear and Loathing 4K. A lot of these I bought on the 50% off sale and saved a lot of money doing so. I picked up Vice Squad, the Kino Vice Squad, from my local Barnes and Noble a couple of weeks ago. That sticker price sucks ding dongs. It's $50. It's a ridiculous price to pay for a single film in a slipcover, just a slipcover, not a hard case, not a booklet, not a poster, no nothing. No Vice Squad themed fleshlight included, nothing. But unlike the Beyond, which gave me the nice little eyeball, when I got the Beyond, it comes with that nice little eyeball anal bead, which feels great right now. 50% off of that $50 sticker price, 25 bucks, which is a great price to pay for a brand new Kino 4K. As of this recording, Amazon is charging almost $39 for the Seven Samurai on 4K. That's only a few bucks more than what I paid for the DVD 25 years ago. So don't I feel like I got jerked around? How much do you think I could get that DVD for if I sold it today? I lost a lot of value on that DVD. It's a good thing I've watched it twice, maybe. But a great thing about the Barnes and Noble sale is that Amazon typically will match the Barnes and Noble prices. So even though they want you to pay 40 bucks, almost 40 bucks for the Seven Samurai on 4K, Amazon will, when Barnes and Noble is offering the $25 deal or the $30 deal for Seven Samurai. I believe I paid $30 for Seven Samurai 4K. And that's like a 2 or 3 disc set that comes with a booklet. It's in a fancy case. It looks very nice. 30 bucks is not a bad price to pay. And Amazon will match that during those sale periods. So you can have the selection of Amazon at the prices that Barnes and Noble's offering because of competition between the retailers. Amazon also offers its own sales periodically. They recently offered a buy two, get one free deal that I thought was pretty phenomenal. I got the Hackers 4K Steelbook, the Cruising 4K Chunky Box, and Shout's JFK box set for about $80 for all three. So that's like $27 average for each item. And those are all 4K limited editions, multi-disc sets with all the bells and whistles. So you think about what you might have paid for each of those at their normal retail price, and I must have saved 40 bucks on the three of those pretty easily simply by waiting, biding my time. A sale came up, boom, then you pull the trigger. You have also the sales that I mentioned that each boutique website offers. Vinegar Syndrome has a halfway to Black Friday sale that ended very recently. People have been receiving their boxes. Black Friday sales later in the year. They have smaller sales also kind of randomly throughout the year, sort of interspersed, where you can get some of their old releases quite cheap. I mean, every title 6 months or older gets discounted 50% or more for Black Friday and halfway to Black Friday sales. So that's excellent. I got the slipped version of the Amityville Horror 4K for $22.50 during the halfway to Black Friday sale here recently. I got the Tenant 4K limited edition for $32 during the same sale. So those are Vinegar Syndrome 4Ks that are limited editions. They come with the slip covers and slip cases and booklets, and they're excellent restorations. At $22 for a slipped copy of the Amityville Horror on 4K is a steal of a deal. $22.50. That is well less than I paid for my very first DVD, which was a snap case version of The Matrix that I bought in like 1999. It was the very first DVD that I ever purchased. I didn't even own a DVD player. Like I said, my dad bought one. I do think I paid less for the 4K Vinegar Syndrome slipped Amityville Horror than I did for a Matrix DVD that you could probably find for 2 nickels and a piece of chewed gum at a Goodwill. Arrow had an Easter sale. I don't remember what they call it. It's like Easter, I don't know, it's Easter something. They have an Easter sale. It's right around Easter. And I got some great prices on some stuff there too. I think I got the 4K limited edition of Mallrats with the slipcover and everything for like 21 bucks. I also got the 4K chunky box for Carlito's Way for $29. They've been trying to sell that beef for a long time. Chunky box of a 4K Carlito's Way for $29, like less than 30 bucks for a chunky box 4K. So I recommend just being patient with things. Watch, keep your eye on things that you want. Watch to make sure they're not selling out. And if they're not selling out, wait a little bit, wait for a sale. You'll save a lot of money that way. The other tip that I have that has saved me a lot of money in my time is buying used. Buy something pre-owned. This is a great strategy in my opinion. Like, yeah, I know you want her to be a virgin. You want to like crack the seal on that. You want to pop that cherry yourself. I get it. I'm a dude. I have that instinct biologically built inside of me. I understand. I understand that drive to like, I want to be the first to plow this particular field. I get it. Thankfully, most collectors do take pretty good care of the things that they collect. When you're buying a limited edition box set or something from someone else, they're probably a collector too. That's the reason they own that item and they're selling it to you. So probably it's in pretty good shape. So even though there is a little bit of a risk in buying something used, you're buying something that's been watched before and possibly it could be scratched, it could be damaged, the discs could be in some way unplayable. So you've got to keep those things in mind. But I do think that overall, the risk is very manageable. And when you're buying things from collectors, they tend to be basically like new, like they took the cellophane off and ain't nobody going to know that you bought it used. You just lie to everybody and tell them you bought it new. So I also recommend lying to everybody and tell them you bought it new. If you need to flex nuts, dude, flex nuts and tell them you spent more than you spent. Conspicuous consumption. I'm a good Buddhist. Anyway, my first caveat to buying pre-owned movies, it works the best when the movie is still in print. If it's an out of print, limited edition, chunky boxes, stuff like that from years ago, they're going to be price hiked. So if you're trying to get your hands on something like the VSU limited edition of Showgirls, you can forget about paying retail. You're going to pay probably double retail, at least maybe triple retail for something like that. On the other hand, if there's a movie that's still widely available that you could still order from the manufacturer at the suggested retail price, then you can save by buying it pre-owned. For instance, if there is a Vinegar Syndrome release, let's say Devil's Fetus, that is still in print. It's a relatively recent release. The limited edition is still available from the Vinegar Syndrome website. You can go buy it for retail right now. You don't have to pay double or triple. No one's charging $100 for Devil's Fetus because no one's going to get $100 for Devil's Fetus used when Vinegar Syndrome is selling it new for 38 bucks or whatever they're selling it for, 40 bucks. So you can get that thing used cheaper than retail. So whatever the retail is, if it's 40 bucks retail and it's still available at retail, somebody selling the thing online is probably trying to get 30 bucks or so for it. So you can save pretty well there. I see several 4K copies of the Cell limited edition, the Arrow release of the Cell 4K on eBay for like 30-ish bucks. You can look at places online like Orbit DVD and Hamilton Book. They both carry pre-owned movies that you can have shipped to you. And you just check back at a small handful of websites a couple of times a month, and you can find some great deals on shit you're looking for. Facebook is another great way to find pre-owned limited editions. This has actually been a great boon to me. I joined several Facebook groups for like 4K fans and boutique Blu-ray fans, physical media fans. There's actually quite a few large groups that get several posts every single day, and people in these groups often sell off films within the group. They'll make posts in the group because the movies will get snapped up more quickly, and prices are typically very fair. I got Lady Reporter and The Prophecy, both limited editions, for $50 total. So that's an average of $25 each. 25 bucks for Lady Reporter, 25 bucks for The Prophecy, limited edition that contains 3 movies. So I bought 4 movies, all in limited edition sets for $50 for all 4 films. Again, great. Last month I got Touch, Dangerous Game, and Last Embrace. Those are 3 Cinematograph titles for $65 shipped for all 3 movies. So if you consider that shipping is like $5, back that out. I paid $60 for 3 titles. That's $20 per title for 3 Cinematograph films for 60 bucks. That's phenomenal. And yes, they had been opened, they had been watched, but they were in excellent condition. They came from a collector who had watched the films and simply decided that he no longer wanted to keep them, and he was willing to accept a price that was roughly half of what Vinegar Syndrome was asking for, maybe even a little bit less. I think I paid $20 or $25 for a used copy of the televised Terror limited edition box set, and that has 3 Blu-rays inside it. Again, 20 bucks for 3 Blu-rays in a limited edition box set. Really some very excellent prices. So you can get hooked up by somebody who's they're trying to move like a large chunk of their collection in a Facebook group, and you can really benefit from that, from somebody trying to get rid of some of the stuff. So generally speaking, I would look for a pre-owned movie that is still in print to be at least $10 cheaper than retail. If I can get it for $40 brand new, I'm not going to pay more than $30 for it pre-owned. And PayPal Goods and Services will cover your ass too. So you can't even come to me and tell me that you're going to get ripped off and scammed by a Facebook scammer, because you send via Goods and Services, you can get your money back if that person tries to scam you. And so my third and final piece of advice is really just to be patient. Generally speaking, with a few exceptions, like the VSU limited edition of Showgirls that I mentioned and a few other limited editions, typically speaking, shit gets cheaper. Like that Seven Samurai DVD that I bought in 2000 for $32. Let's call it $32 to be fair. How much could you get that single disc? It was the single disc. Seven Samurai was their first release. How much could you pay for it if you wanted to buy it today? They don't still produce it, so you'd have to buy a used copy, but my guess is by waiting roughly 25 years, you would probably save at least $25. You could probably get the same copy of Seven Samurai that I own, the DVD copy at least, for probably $5, maybe even a little bit less. You might be able to find it for 2 or 3 on eBay. The reason being is demand has lowered for that particular item because you have waited. In most cases, demand is going to lower for an item over time because newer releases are going to come out. Seven Samurai being the perfect example. It was re-released on DVD by Criterion Collection a few years later. Then it was reissued on Blu-ray, and more recently, I think just last year, it was reissued on 4K by Criterion. So I think there have been at least 4 Criterion releases of the Seven Samurai. And with each iteration, there are additions. There's better packaging in the case of the second, third, and fourth iteration. There are new special features added. There are format upgrades like the Blu-ray and 4K format upgrades. So there are visual upgrades that probably look better on a more modern television. My DVD copy of Seven Samurai looked great on my parents' 32-inch Panasonic CRT tube TV. circa 2000, but it looks a lot better now in 4K on a modern OLED or UHD TV. I'm just saying that DVDs does not look quite as good on the UHD Samsung as it did on the old Panasonic tube TV. That will happen to nearly every movie. There are maybe a few cult films that won't get new releases, but I mean, even look at a cult film. I'm going to use the little air quotes, even though I hate them. A cult film like Reanimator, which within our space is quite a popular film. Actually, it's not, I mean, it might be kind of cult when you go ask normies like my wife, but if you ask people within our sphere, our social circle, everybody's seen Reanimator, everybody owns Reanimator, everybody knows there have been releases of Reanimator on DVD, re-releases on Blu-ray, a recent release on 4K that is quite nice, that is actually hammering the demand for the Blu-ray, the Arrow Blu-ray. So, you know, something is out of print and it's expensive, like the Arrow chunky box of Reanimator on Blu-ray. 2 years ago, yeah, it was expensive because it was out of print and you had to pay a lot of money for it. But Ignite Films comes along and they drop the 4K in a really also at least equally beautiful box set with a ton of special features, a ton of writing on the film, and now people are going for that. So by waiting, another newer, later, and greater product will be released, which will lower the demand for the older products. You can get the older products cheaper, or you can get the new product at retail price when it's announced. So I advise waiting. And there have been many times that I have waited. I've placed an Arrow limited edition, chunky box or otherwise, or steel book in my Amazon cart, and I just wait. I leave them there. I check the prices every time I log into Amazon. Eventually, those things come down in price, even without a sale, even outside of Amazon sales. Prices do fluctuate. I don't think I've ever paid more than $30 for an Arrow limited edition 4K with slipcover. And I don't believe I've paid more than $35 for an Arrow 4K chunky box. Most steelbooks start around 50 or even $60 these days, but if you're patient, they do go down to 45, 40, even $35 for some. Starman was $50 when Amazon first opened it for pre-order, and it goes for about $39 currently on Amazon, and that's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot longer after release. I mean, it's only been out for like a month, and it's already $11 cheaper than what you might have pre-ordered it for at the very beginning. So those are just a few instances. There's only really a few times where you can't afford to be patient. That's typically with a low count limited edition, like Hundreds of Beavers or something that's selling really fast. The Keep sold really fast. More recently, Enter the Void sold out very fast during the partner month sale. But if you're saving money on all the other releases using strategies like the ones that I've discussed, then you've saved well more than enough money to buy the occasional limited edition that is selling out very fast. If you want to get that limited edition of Enter the Void, you need to jump on that. If you're saving money the whole rest of the year, then hopefully you got a little bit left over in your budget that you can on occasion jump on a full priced limited edition. And that really brings me to my final topic, which is admittedly a little bit more philosophical in nature. Let's close the circle. We'll go from practical advice back to a more philosophical discussion. I waxed nostalgic in the beginning, talking about how expensive DVDs used to be. When those things first came out before the demand, they were wicked expensive. They didn't get cheap until every damn person in the world bought a DVD player. Then we talked practical advice. Now we're going to go full circle and come back to a more philosophical and heady discussion. But it ties in with the concept of scarcity as it drives FOMO, which is a word I hate. I hate FOMO. I know it's an acronym, but I just hate FOMO. I don't know why I hate it. I hate saying it. I hate hearing it when other people say it. But I think that the concept of FOMO has a strong influence on people's spending and purchasing habits. So, what do you do when you miss a release? It happens to us all. There's always one that got away. What is your recourse when a limited chunky box or a steelbook sells out and is gone? Option A, you buy it at the inflated price on the secondary market. Some asshole on eBay is trying to get $140 for hundreds of beavers with the slipcover. And thinking about option A, pretty much every limited edition is still available on eBay. There's nothing in physical media that you can't get, or almost nothing. I should say almost nothing. I mean, good luck finding the 3-hour version of The Keep, right? Nobody can get that. I don't even think it exists. It's like the Holy Grail. Anyway, as far as stuff that's been released and put out, there's nothing that you can't get. The problem with option A is that people object to paying double or triple for a movie than what it would have been if they bought it at retail. So paying $125 for the Showgirls VSU sucks because I could have gotten it for like $45 if I had bought it when it was still available. I could still get Showgirls today, right now, the VSU special edition, if I'm willing to spend about $120. You can, and that's option A. Option B, on the other hand, is to say, fuck it, let that one go. That's just the one that got away. In most cases, a standard edition will be released, so you can get that one and save even more money. The standard edition is going to be cheaper than the limited edition would have been anyway. You could pay $120 for the Showgirls VSU limited edition, or you could pay like $30 for the standard and save a ton of dough. From a purely economic standpoint, where your priority is simply to maximize the amount of movies that you can own given your budget, this is clearly the way to go. Option B is the way to go because you're going to save money this way and you're going to be able to ultimately buy more movies in a given time period because you're stretching your budget a little further. However, I get it. We're collectors. I'm not that practical. Almost never am I that practical. If there's a slipcase or a rigid box or a chunky box or a turgid box or a boner box, I want that box. That's what I'm talking about. And I know a lot of people who are like that too. And if every collector only prioritized the maximal utility of their movie budget, there would be no economy for limited edition releases at all. The reason why limited edition releases sell out like a mofo is because mofos like us, MFs like us, my friends like us, we want that limited edition. We want all the bells and whistles and the fancy packaging so we can like flex on people in 2 years. Like, what? You didn't get a copy of The Keep from Imprint, you sucker. You didn't get a copy of The Keep before Vinegar Syndrome dropped a freaking bomb on Orbit DVD like it was Israel versus Iran. You didn't get that, mofo? So hard not to say the F word right now. Anyway, it's very hard to make an edgy geopolitical joke without saying the F word, and I'm not entirely sure it works, but I'm trying to get views, damn it. So, given that we like to have all of that stuff, the script and the art cards and the posters and books of essays and even the little plastic toy eyeballs that I just told the internet I stuck up my butt, so that, we can tell everybody, suck my dick because I was one of the first human beings to pre-order Lucio Fulci's The Beyond on 4K, and everyone who doesn't have this little plastic eyeball is nothing but a broke bitch, you broke bitch. I admit I am frequently seduced by this line of thought. I want the plastic eyeball that tells people I have money. And I was able to pre-order this thing, and I'm not a broke bitch. However, I must also acknowledge that I have a pile of damn near 400 unwatched movies, many of which are limited editions that I bought at full retail price because I did not want to miss out on a release. I was motivated by FOMO to buy something, and years have gone by and I have not watched that thing yet. Of what utility is that 45 or 50 or $60 to me if all I'm going to do is move an unopened piece of plastic and cardboard from a warehouse somewhere to my shelf in my basement? And I've spent $50 to move a single unit of a physical media item into my possession, but I'm not watching it. I have really come to believe that the appropriate course of action is actually to occasionally follow option A. If you think abstractly enough, if you've got $150 in your pocket, that's tantamount to owning just about any single limited edition. Like if you've got 150 bucks on your debit card right now, that's the same as owning Showgirls. You just have to exchange that money for Showgirls and then wait a couple of days, and the movie that you missed will be in your possession. At this point, since the difference between that piece of limited and overpriced physical media sitting on your shelf and it being out there sitting on like an eBay seller's shelf is trivial, given that a simple exchange of money and a few days wait is all it takes to move that movie, that piece of physical media from their shelf to yours. It's really just kind of abstract. Like this knowledge can really help to eliminate your FOMO for a particular release, because even if you don't have it now, even if you missed its retail window, it's practically yours already anyway. You're just one simple, maybe overpriced transaction away. So, therefore, I can only conclude that you should follow the steps I've previously discussed to maximize your savings. And on rare occasion, if you must pay more for an out of price release, then you've saved enough over the course of a year of buying that you're offsetting the inflated price of that out of print limited edition. So if you save as little as an average of $10 per title that you buy, and you buy about one title per week on average, that's only 52 titles per year. Then you're saving more than $500 per year, which will buy you several copies of the out of print VSU of Showgirls. So it really does help the physical media budget go further, and you could buy more movies essentially. So you can get those limited editions that maybe got away from you. You can save money. You can not piss off your wife, and you can continue to have at least a little bit of a budget for beer, cocaine, mushrooms, LSD, even though I'll be happy at the end of this video to teach you how to make LSD at home in your own bathtub.